Hello, it's Bill, the knee pain guru. Knee pain guru. Welcome to the another episode of the Ask Dr. Beck show. Good morning, Charlie.
Good morning, Bill.
Bye.
Yes, good morning.
It's kind of how it's been.
Yeah.
How are you?
I am hanging in there for sure.
Good. Anything new, exciting and new from last week?
We're so we moved to a farm. We're putting an office on our farm, and we got the first information yesterday about the delay due to the government imposed supply chain issues. Doesn't make me a happy camper.
Oh, so building materials.
Building materials, oh yes. Supposed to take 10 weeks. Now it's going to take about 25 weeks.
Whoa. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So everything is on hold there. I was up there visiting you, I guess it was, where are we, October, a couple months ago?
Yes. Yeah, a couple months ago. It will be on hold. It's the windows. You know, you can't really finish the inside or the outside till the windows show up.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So
the government's imposing this.
Won't let ships land and unload.
I'm not even going to go as far as
right. I mean, yeah,
no sense.
Yep.
Okay, we're good. Well, cool.
Right.
That's unfortunate. I apologize for that.
Yes, if only it were under either of our controls.
No kidding. Well, the rest of this year is going to be a doozy.
Yes. Roller coaster. That might be a good word for it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, cool. We got a good couple questions this week.
Fire away. I'm ready.
Okay. We got a question from Melissa. She says, Dr. Beck, what were you referring to when you said sequencing the body as it relates to tensegrity? This was, I guess, in the past couple weeks.
Right.
Should I give it a shot? Could I give it a shot?
You give it a shot. Yeah. Let me see how you do.
Okay. So there's the tensegrity of the body, the interconnected series of pulleys and levers that create tension in some places and relaxation in other places. And when we look and we scan the entire body, we're looking at what part of the tensegrity structure we can release to make the biggest impact with the rest of the tensegrity structure.
That's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the Pareto principle for body work.
Right.
80-20 principle for body work. How can we release? What can we move? The littlest part, like scanning the whole body. What is the littlest piece we can make a tweak? It's going to have the biggest impact with the rest of the structure. And we sequence that first, second, third in terms of as you as a physician or me listening to someone say what's going on with their body.
Yep. Now I would, I'll add just a little bit here.
Cool.
The way that my mentor would explain it is the patient is a bank vault.
Mm-hmm.
Inside the bank vault is their health.
Okay.
They come in and they give you the numbers to the combination lock.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't give you the order that they go in.
Okay.
So you can, I mean, one way of approaching it is to randomly pick up a number and enter, and randomly enter the numbers and see if you happen to be able to open what effectively is you unlock their health. Or you can let the body tell you what number comes first, what number comes second, what number comes third.
Okay.
That is a good analogy for sequencing. I am feeling the body, doing the same thing, looking for the place that's most tight. If I release that one first, then go to the second place that's most tight and the third place, each time looking at the body as if it was brand new and I'd never touched it before, then at the end, we are able to unlock the patient's health.
Okay. And where I see what you're bringing to the table is another level of sequencing. I think Melissa's question was specifically around
tensegrity.
which may or may not include, let's say, prolotherapy or other elements that would come out. When I hear you talk about health, you're talking about bringing other elements in that would be in that vault combination that can, let's say, be outside of my pay grade. I wouldn't speak to that.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, cool. I think that was pretty good. I like that bank vault combination example. Okay, she continues to write, I had a knee replacement 18 months ago. After plenty of traditional PT, I did not achieve full extension, maybe 15 degrees short of full extension. My other total knee replacement achieved full extension, my other total knee replacement resulted in a similar lack of extension. I was told I have arthrofibrosis, which is basically described an excessive amount of scar tissue preventing my knee from straightening. Do you think it's possible to correct this after this much time? There's more. Did you want to answer that, or did you want to?
So the simple answer there is yes.
Okay.
And so what I would say is when we go in as an orthopedic surgeon and we replace a knee, some of it is high tech, some of it is 300-year-old technology that we just happen to use sterile tools for.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we replace the knee, the idea is, as an orthopedic surgeon, we put the new knee in exactly the same place that the old knee was.
Mm-hmm.
The leg has exactly the same length before and after our surgery, and the knee bends at exactly the same spot. So we don't put any more length on either the femur or the tibia to move the knee in three-dimensional space. Okay? That's what's supposed to happen. There are times when it doesn't happen that way. And if it doesn't happen that way, then you wind up as the owner of the now new knee with the knee that doesn't bend in space the way the old one did.
Mm-hmm.
And so your body then has to compensate. And if we've got tension behind the knee, what you've got to do is follow that tension up and down. So that could be a rotation of the hips. It could be something stuck in the heel, which is where the soleus and the gastrocnemius attach on the back of the leg. They come down, make the Achilles tendon, and attaches at the heel.
Mm-hmm.
So either one of those, if the pelvis is rotated or the heel is stuck, or both could be possible, can give you tension in the back of the knee replacement or not, right? But we're specifically talking about knee replacement.
Sure.
That shows up as her symptoms that your typical orthopedist is not going to look for. They didn't work on those things. So why should they look there?
And we covered the heel component a few weeks ago. Was okay. Just so we kind of have a reference that we have been addressing parts of these patterns that are going on. Okay, so let's see. Is there something you would see to do at this point? Yes, you just covered that.
Just answered that. Yep.
Okay. I've been told an MUA could help, but I think that makes my knee react by holding even tighter and more scar tissue develops in response. This is what happened after my first total knee replacement. I am seeing results working with Bill and unwinding the tension, but now my back is worse from this misalignment. Any ideas? Thank you.
Okay. So the legs will, let's say I got to go backwards first. Define the term homunculus, which in Latin means little man.
Okay.
And there was a time in the world when the belief is that babies were formed when literally a little bitty human being in a sperm joined with an egg and it grew. Okay. That was this idea where homunculus came from. And so for me, it is any representation of the whole body in a subset. So like a hologram, if we take a hologram of an apple and we shine a light through it and it displays an apple, and we break the hologram into small pieces and shine a light through it, every single piece displays the whole apple.
Mm-hmm.
So a homunculus can be anything in the body smaller than the whole that gives us a representation of what's going on in the whole body. Iridologists do it with the eyes. Chinese medicine folks can do it with the ears. We learn a map of the back that relates to the whole body. And in that map of the back, the legs are related to in the lower back and the beginning of the sacroiliac joint. So if you have a leg problem, from our way of thinking, every time you take a step, your low back is getting tight. Take 3 steps, it's usually not a problem. Take 3,000 steps, now you've got low back pain.
Mm-hmm.
You go to bed, may not go away, but it gets better. You wake up in the morning, it's not as bad. You take a few steps, it starts to get worse, and by the end of the day, it's bad again.
Mm-hmm.
And treatable. You fix the problem in the leg, then the body's not responding to the steps, and the back pain goes away.
Got it. Yeah, that's been and it's been a process. Been working with Melissa for a little bit now, and there is definitely getting improvement. What I've found in working with anybody, especially someone that has been dealing, that went and got a total knee replacement, and now they're on the other side of it.
Sure.
There's been more of a mindset piece that we really need to focus in and work on in conjunction with the physical piece.
Okay.
That as they begin to understand the possibility of how the body can heal, tension in the body, that they don't have to push through, and like forcing the knee joint to break down scar tissue is not going to get them closer to where they want to be, that we have to look in a different direction. That's the biggest challenge.
Okay.
I've seen in working with clients, that they start releasing these patterns, and it's like, oh, look at that. Oh, wow, it's shifting. Oh, cool. That freed up. And now we're having a very different conversation for her to even be able to hear what you had to say.
Correct.
That's been my that's been the process with many of the clients that I work with the knee replacements.
Yes.
Like
yes.
So cool. Well, then I will talk with Melissa about the heel, because I think we've worked on it, and then lower back stuff as well.
Okay.
That she can work with.
All right.
Okay. We have another question here from Taylor. She says, I need advice on how to help my boyfriend with pain he has when he touches his scalp. It looks even painful. He gets a burning sensation when touched. I'm not sure if it's just neck pain or neck tension or something more serious is wrong. Please help me. I know it's kind of vague, actually.
Well, there's enough information there for me to at least make a good guess as to what's going on.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so we'll start with anatomy. Okay. So first of all, the scalp, we have hair. Most of us have hair anyway. Take the hair away. Underneath that, we've got skin. Underneath the skin, we have what in the scalp is termed loose connective tissue. So it's fascia. It's just a different consistency than found in the rest of the body.
Okay.
And underneath that, we've got bone. There, in many of us, is a small layer of fat in there somewhere, but it's tiny. It's kind of woven in with the loose connective tissue.
Okay.
So then the scalp gets innervated, depending on where we're at, by different nerves. Some nerves come from the back and go over the top. Some come out of the face.
Okay.
So this basically would, this part here would never be scalp, so we're not going to worry about this nerve. But there's a nerve up here that innervates up to the hairline or past. And then there are nerves that come out of the back and innervate going up and over toward the front. Okay.
Okay.
And so what that means is that if you have an irritation in the surface nerve, we would call it the cutaneous or skin nerve, that can cause an issue. The covering of the bone on the top of the skull is contiguous and continuous with the dura on the inside of the skull.
Okay.
So if you have actual bone pain, that can mean that there's something going on inside the head. If you have scalp pain, that can mean that there's something going on with the nerves that come out of the holes in the head where those nerves come out. They're very tiny, but the nerves have got to come out of the inside somehow to get to the surface.
Okay.
So there can be issues with the nerves. There can be issues with the foramina. Those are the openings that the nerves come out. There can be issues with the membranes on the inside of the skull causing problems on the outside.
Okay.
Now, all of those are outside issues. You can also have issues on the inside of the brain, inside of the head, which could include the brain, that can also trigger sensitivities on the top of the skull. Okay. So with a case like that, that isn't, I'd need more detail to make it a little bit more straightforward, but that would be come and visit someone like me who, perhaps is an osteopath, skilled chiropractor, and have them figure out what's going on, where it's at in the body, and then how to proceed forward. In my mind, neurologist would be qualified to get the surface nerves, but neurologist isn't going to know a thing about what goes on inside the head and how to fix it. It's not what they do in their practice.
Got it. And this is something that can be addressed manual manipulation with.
It's the place I would start.
Okay.
I'd probably do 2 or 3 sessions manually, find out if it was making any change before we did anything that in my mind would be considered more invasive.
Sure. Okay, that makes sense. And what we'll do is, was it the American Cranial Academy? That was one.
Cranial Academy, yes, and American Academy of Osteopathy.
Yeah, as we'll include links in the description box below.
Perfect.
That people can reference a doctor or a practitioner in their area.
Yep.
So Taylor can get some support with her boyfriend.
Sounds great.
Cool. Okay. There was that. Let me see. I had a question. This kind of plays off of our, if you might not be feeling so good.
Oh, yes, that thing. The not feeling so good that's going around the world.
The whole world.
The whole world, yes.
So there were 3 different. We've had conversations about one of these substances, which was food-grade hydrogen peroxide in conjunction with a nebulizer.
Yep.
And there were also other conversations of colloidal silver.
Yes. As
well as iodine, a form of iodine called betadine. Betadine,
yep.
Betadine.
Yep.
That can be used in different capacities for viral, bacterial.
Yep.
Things.
I'll tell you what I know.
Okay. Yeah. And so the question was, I've had personal experience with food grade hydrogen peroxide.
Yes.
Diluted to 1% in a nebulizer, knocked out pneumonia for me personally, twice in a year. I don't have much experience with colloidal silver, almost zero experience with iodine. Okay. How would one choose one over the other, and would there be different applications for those different substances?
Yes. Okay. Let's talk about silver first.
Okay.
So Colloidal silver is silver as in silver dollar silver,
Yes.
suspended in a colloid solution. And basically, to make it, what we do is we apply electricity, drop to a liquid, water, and then we drop a silver coin in, and the electricity causes the silver molecules to come off and go into suspension.
Yes.
Okay? That is how we make colloidal silver. And they sell units on eBay and Amazon to do that. You can make your own.
Yes.
Okay? Now, that being said, silver is, by definition, a heavy metal. And our body doesn't necessarily do great at detoxifying and getting rid of heavy metals. Historically, people who used colloidal silver, this is at a time when it was made differently. Okay, so I want to add that in, but people would become blue.
Okay.
Their skin would become blue because of the levels of silver in their body. Okay. From everything that I've read, we've gotten better at making colloidal silver, and it doesn't bioaccumulate the way it used to in the old days.
Okay. Because of the technology, or because
of the technology, somehow we're making the particles smaller, and so they do their job and don't accumulate as much.
Okay. Yeah. Now, I've asked a question of a guy who sells colloidal silver, and this was explained to me, so I think you'll really enjoy this.
Okay, perfect. Yep.
Okay. You have to start in a distilled water solution.
Yes.
With the electrolysis taking place.
Yes.
Attached to. Okay. Because it's in a distilled water solution, there's hardly anything happening initially.
Yep.
And as more of the electrolysis takes place, the process speeds up. So it's like this exponential curve that takes place. As
basically more electricity is conducted.
Correct. Which makes the particles larger the faster it.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. Yes, got it.
So what he was saying is you need to have a regulator on the electrodes that once it starts seeing this bump in there, it downgrades the amount of electricity that goes to keep the size of the particles small.
Yep. Okay. That makes sense.
This is awesome. I love it. Go ahead.
All right. So good. Okay. So now we now have our way to make colloidal silver, and we can make the particles small.
Yes.
So first of all, in my own mind, I would want to meet people who had used colloidal silver internally for a good portion of their lives and prove to myself that they're not blue.
Okay.
Okay. Before I would say, absolutely, this stuff is 100% safe to take internally. Just recognize I'm saying that. That's my caveat. Silver is something that bacteria, viruses, funguses can't figure out a way to adapt to. So it effectively is a universal killer. Okay. It works. It's similar to ozone in that ozone kills bacteria, kills viruses, kills funguses.
Right.
Surface of the skin. Here's the great thing. What you buy at the health food store. So first of all, we measure our silver in parts per million. Okay. So that is 1 million molecules of water. And within that million molecules of water, there are X number of parts of silver. Okay. Usually that number is 10 to 20 parts per million. That is perfect for surface application on skin.
Okay.
Because we need roughly 10 parts per million to be able to kill bacteria, funguses, viruses. Okay. So it's the right concentration if I'm putting it directly on something that is not already wet.
Got it.
If I take 10 parts per million and I take a dropper full, right? 15 drops, whatever, 20 drops, 30 drops, doesn't matter. And I drink it. I am 70% water.
it's going to dilute it way.
An incredible amount, down
Yeah.
to way lower than 1 part per million.
Okay. Which
Okay.
is not going to be able to knock out what we need.
Anything at all.
Okay.
All right. So in order to do that, you have to take in a silver solution that is higher in concentration, higher parts per million.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And there are companies that make it.
Mm-hmm.
The company that we use at the office is called Invive, Invive.
Okay. If you could send me information on that, I'll definitely put that in the show notes.
Yeah, the first thing I will tell you is you have to wear sunglasses when you go to their website. It's bright.
Okay.
Lots of colors, but they sell up to 20,000 parts per million.
Oh, okay.
And claim that it will cure HIV and Ebola because it's that concentrated. Okay. We wound up getting at the office something that's 1,100 parts per million.
Mm-hmm.
And basically I can give you that and it's going to dilute to a place where I can get a concentration in the body that's good enough to do something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so you can then use that via nebulizer. You can ingest it. You can actually like put it in a spoon and swallow it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I've used it for years. It seems to work really, really good for pink eye. Like stuff's gone in a day, back to normal. Mm-hmm. So we take it down to about 100 parts per million for pink eye. And you just use a drop and blink it in a couple of times and it's all good. Then you can rinse it out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's that.
Yes. So that we got colloidal silver.
And now we go to iodine.
Iodine. Yes.
Okay. So, all right, you got to follow the story of iodine here because it's a story that I myself don't understand. Okay.
And this tied in, this is a conversation we had, probably don't remember the conversation, but you had spoken about thyroid issues.
Yes.
And the periodic table of elements.
Yes.
And chlorine and fluoride, and chlorine will attach.
And bromine.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't remember bromine, but anyhow, okay, go ahead. Awesome.
All right. So iodine comes to us from the sea, right? The oceans.
Okay.
So if you live in an area that gets rainwater from the ocean, when the clouds pick up the evaporated rainwater, there is iodine in that vapor that falls as rain on your locale, and you will have iodine in your soil. Okay. Mm-hmm. Thus, if you eat locally grown produce, there is some iodine in it. Plants will tend to take that iodine in and make it more concentrated. I live in what's called the goiter belt. Basically, the rain that we get comes more or less from the Great Lakes. Fresh water, no iodine. So if you go from Michigan, Wisconsin, all the way down to Alabama, there's a land where people used to get goiter because there was no iodine in their food. Mm-hmm. So enter Lugol's solution, Lugol''S, first patented in France in like 1798. Okay, been around for a while. And basically what they do is they take seaweed, they put it in alcohol, the alcohol takes out the iodine, and then they use a portion of that, mix it with water, and you wind up with Lugol solution. Okay. Mm-hmm. Remember, it's been around for 200 years. Okay. And so when that happens, you use Lugol solution, you can cure 80% of all hypothyroidism. Okay. Which is awesome. And so when I entered medical school in 99, Lugol solution was available only by prescription through doctors. Okay. You could get Lugol solution with something else added into it to basically make it not for human consumption, for treating ick in fish tanks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's how Lugol solution was available. Apparently, Lugol solution is used in gallons, okay, in the making of methamphetamine. So when there was the big meth outbreak in the early 2000s, remember, Lugol solution is only available by prescription, okay? And you have to use gallons of it, which would suggest that the doctors were in on the meth making, right? It would suggest that.
It would suggest it.
Right.
Great.
So our government says, oh, no, you can't have this Lugol solution. We're going to make them close the plant that makes it. Remember, it's been around for 200 years, right? It has absolutely nothing to do with its safety.
Sure.
But it does cure 80% of the hypothyroidism, and a year's supply prior to all of this would cost you $10. Overnight, it went to available by compounding pharmacy only, and it went to $40 a month.
Wow.
Okay. So I always scratch my head at that because it just doesn't make sense. But there are many things in the world that don't make sense at the moment. All right. So let's just say that we get iodine, and iodine can come into the body. There are two ways that we can take it. We can take it orally. We can put it in a liquid and swallow it, or we can put it on the skin and it will be absorbed.
Okay.
If you're going to put it on the skin, it needs to be at a 2% or less solution. Okay. Dilution rate. So if you put it on and it is higher than that, it tends to kill the surface skin cells. And so you can use it as a treatment for things that are causing a problem on the surface of the skin. But if we're going to use it therapeutically and do doses day after day, 2% or less Lugol solution.
Okay.
Once you put it on skin, it takes 3 or 4 minutes to dry. I tried this myself. Once it dries, can't scrub it off with a Brillo pad. Okay, it actually soaks into the skin cells.
The iodine.
Iodine, yes.
In your skin. Okay.
And your skin turns brown.
Okay.
Wherever you put the iodine, and it soaks in. Basically, think of that like a sponge. Every cell in your body needs iodine. As the blood flows by, it picks up that iodine. And if you're using it topically, if your iodine levels are normal, if they're good, that brown should stay visible for 24 or more hours.
Okay.
If it does not stay visible, you need an iodine. Your body said, hey, thanks for that. I'll soak it all up and use it. And so you put more on the next day.
Oh.
Right.
Okay.
So remember, 24 hours is the key. And I live a goiter belt. I've not had a patient yet to make it past 8 hours. 8, right? A third of a day. So you keep applying over and over and over again, day after day after day, until you basically build up your stores of iodine. And the body then says, hey, I don't need it. It'll stay for more than 24 hours. In which case, then you can skip a day and you put it on every other day. And then every third day if you need to. Okay. So now we have to talk a little bit more about iodine's history. Iodine used to be the leavening agent used in the baking industry. So you wanted your bread to only rise a certain amount, you'd put iodine in. Iodine would stop the bread from rising. And then somebody got the idea that, well, you might be able to get too much iodine. So they stopped using iodine as the leavening agent, and the outbreak of goiters occurred. Right now, the thyroid gland in our neck that concentrates iodine.
Okay.
Once every 17 minutes, if you believe the literature, all of your blood goes through the thyroid gland.
Okay.
Iodine, universal killer of bacteria. So basically, as the blood goes through, it gets exposed to iodine. That keeps our bacterial infections down. If you don't have enough iodine in your diet, The gland, which basically concentrates iodine, has to get bigger. Basically, it says, I need more filter surface area to concentrate the iodine. And the gland swells. And you get what's called a goiter. Okay. Your neck looks big down here.
Right.
And so when they stopped putting iodine in the bread, then you wound up with people with an outbreak of goiters across the country. So they said, oh, we know how to fix that. We can add iodine to table salt. People will get just enough. And so goiters have gone down. Okay. Doesn't mean they're non-existent. We still learn about them in medical school.
Sure.
But they're not as prevalent as they once were. So then we have to go back to high school chemistry and the periodic table of the elements. Iodine sits in the column of, if I remember correctly, the halogenated gases. And in it is chlorine, fluoride, bromine, and then iodine. And basically, from the body standpoint, what it means is if I take any of those other elements in, they sit in the spot where iodine is supposed to sit. And if that receptor spot is full, iodine cannot bind.
Okay.
So chlorine, where do we get it? Municipal water supplies. Okay. We use chlorine and chloramines to purify our water, and we don't take them out. So from the statistics that I've read, if you take a hot shower, city water, what you wind up with is it's the equivalent of drinking just about 1 cup of bleach. Okay. Darn significant. Fluoride. Oh, goodness. Let's see. The coating, the anti-glare coating on glasses, fluoride, that'll come in through your eyes. Anything that is non-stick coated, fluoride binds the most tightly of almost any molecule in the periodic table. So when you bind something with fluoride and you make a coating and you spray it on the pan, as long as you follow the directions, nothing else breaks the bond with fluoride. And so nothing sticks to the pan. Okay. But if you scratch the pan, which all of us do, because you don't buy one nonstick pan and have it for your whole life. That's why they keep making more. So the moment you scratch that, the fluoride comes off into the food and you consume it. There's fluoride in toothpaste. Fluoride is a byproduct of the aluminum smelting industry. And they basically, instead of going through the right way and disposing of it properly, they sell it to your municipal water supply. They get paid for selling basically a biohazard, and then your municipal water supply dumps it into your water and feeds it to you, telling you that it will prevent cavities. What it does is causes brittle bones. So that means that the more fluoride you take in and you get old, you're likely to wind up in the hospital with a broken hip, and it might be the end of your days. Okay. Bromine. Bromine is used in swimming pools. Bromine is used in all breads as a leavening agent. So basically what happens is you are bombarded in the world with these things that offset iodine, even if you're doing the right things and consuming enough in your diet. If you are deficient in iodine, it tends to cause things that make cysts and nodules. So ladies, if you have fibrocystic breast changes, the first thing that I check as a physician is if you're deficient in iodine. If you have uterine fibroids, iodine deficiency. So iodine is one of those things that is super duper important in our lives. And now if we bring it all back around to the thing that's making most of the world sick, iodine kills bacteria, viruses, and funguses. So if your iodine levels are correct, then you are less likely to get sick. Okay.
Okay. Considering, assuming that the people that are watching this are not trying to set up meth labs in their trailer,
right? Yes.
in Western North Carolina, and they were interested in consuming more iodine in
Yes.
their diet, getting it in their body to help this
Yes.
process. Is
Yep.
there anything that they need to do first? Obviously, eliminating those things you just talked about, eliminating or reducing those
Reducing.
things
Yes. Right.
would be helpful. Is there anything they would need to do to pull these toxins or heavy metals out of their body first to free up these receptor sites that you were talking about?
Oh goodness.
Or maybe we could leave that for next week.
Yeah, that might be a really good next week question.
Okay, cool.
Because it's probably going to take 5 minutes to explain that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then we can certainly do that. But in the short term here, if someone were to, between now and next week, want to begin to place an order or go to their grocery store or start sourcing things that have iodine in it,
Yes.
that would begin to set them up for success.
Yes. So then
so
we look at dosage.
Okay.
Our dosages come from the people that lived in Okinawa during the bombings in World War II.
Okay.
Because it was the first time in history when we had radiation sickness. We didn't know what it was before.
Right.
And so those people with the highest levels of iodine, and the people in Okinawa ate primarily seafood and seaweed, but the people with the highest levels got the least amount of radiation poisoning.
Mm-hmm.
So dosage is measured in milligrams.
Okay.
And typically you'd want somewhere around 15 milligrams of iodine per day in your diet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They make kelp capsules.
Mm-hmm.
The one serving of the kelp capsules is 225 micrograms. So basically, if you're taking kelp capsules, it's more or less a whole bottle every day.
Okay.
So kelp is good, but the dosage isn't correct.
Okay.
I have found that Lugol solution seems to get the best benefit. There are different forms of iodine that are out there. There are some that are clear. Lugol solution is purple. It's the color of seaweed, basically, when you extract it. But I have found that Lugol solution seems to be the best to get.
Okay.
The last time I looked, I think it is available on the largest seller of items in the world.
Got
yeah.
it.
But you can also, theoretically, you should be able to get it through your compounding pharmacist if you wanted to know that it was of a certain quality.
I'm doing a search right now. And they do have a 2% solution.
Yep, perfect. So that's a skin application solution.
So I will include a link to the largest distributor
yes.
in the world. I'll include a link for people who would like to help with that. A Lugol solution, 2% solution. You were saying putting a small drop on your arm?
Any skin.
Skin.
About a silver dollar size, right? So
yeah,
okay. They're about that big.
Okay. And if it completely absorbs, then
you need more. You keep doing it day after day. And
you want to do this at the same time each day, or does it if it
makes it easy for you?
Okay.
Yeah. And it can be different spots. You can put it on arm one day, leg the next day, back the next day, front the next day. Doesn't matter.
Okay. And got it. Everything else you covered earlier today. That would be a strategy that makes sense about the kelp. You said it was 15 milligrams per day.
That's what you're supposed to be getting. Yes.
Supposed to be getting. Got it. Okay.
That's through all sources. So that's diet and everything else.
Okay. And then the last piece was the hydrogen peroxide.
Yep. What are we going to say about that?
Talking about food grade specifically in this context, we're talking about food grade hydrogen peroxide. And this, once again, this is my own personal experience. Several years ago, I had pneumonia. You actually prescribed antibiotics to knock it out,
Yep.
I felt absolutely awful. Like I wanted the pneumonia more than I wanted how I felt with the antibiotics. So
Right.
I needed to prepare a little bit better, and that's when you had pointed me in the direction of a nebulizer.
Yes.
Which can also be gotten on that largest distributor in the world, and the food grade hydrogen peroxide. I will include links down below as well.
Perfect.
So what would be an instance that I would want to use the hydrogen peroxide for that? It knocked out bacteria in my lungs, virus in my lungs, respiratory stuff.
That's easy. I mean, we're coming into, I'm not sure if I can use this word, what would traditionally be flu season, right? The fall and winter.
Like in years past.
Right? Traditionally,
previous to 2020, we would call it the flu.
Correct. And so anything where you get sniffly, sneezy, got things going on in your sinuses or your lungs, first thing that I would do, because it's easy, is peroxide. And it is if you're going to do it, between 0.5% and 1% solution.
Okay.
Erring on the half if you can get there. I mean, that's what we're looking for. And what we want is, when you get the peroxide, it cannot have any preservatives in it. The stuff that you buy at the CVS or Walgreens that's in the brown bottle has preservatives in it. You do not want to nebulize that and inhale it.
Yep.
So it either has to be pharmaceutical grade or food grade.
Yes. And this is something that's a huge distinction here. The stuff that you get at the CVS, Walgreens, Rite Aid pharmacies is not food grade hydrogen peroxide.
Correct. It's got preservatives in it.
It's got preservatives in it, and it'll be the stuff that we're talking about is specifically designated as food grade, or
correct.
What was the other food?
Or pharmaceutical grade.
Pharmaceutical grade.
Yeah. So if you, for example, if you got it from a compounding pharmacy, what they get is a step up from food grade.
Mm-hmm.
It's more expensive, but all that's in that is 100% hydrogen peroxide.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Cool. And is there other applications for the hydrogen peroxide I've heard of?
Apparently it bleaches your hair. I've never used it.
Oh, no, neither have I. But I've heard of people drinking it.
Yes.
In certain very much diluted solutions.
Yes.
As a way of killing stuff in their digestive tract.
Yes.
Or helping
gram-negative bacteria.
Say that again.
Gram-negative bacteria.
Gram-negative bacteria. And what would that be?
Oh my God. now you're asking me.
Talk about it next week.
That's knowledge I haven't tapped into in years.
Okay.
Bacteria basically can be stained by something called a gram stain. Some of them take it in; those are gram positive. Some of them do not; those are gram negative. And in gram negative bacteria, it causes this thing called a catalase reaction.
Okay.
So it destroys their cell membrane. Mm-hmm. It explodes the bacteria, if you will. Okay. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing that when we see peroxide bubbling, we put it on the skin that bubbles. Mm-hmm. That's the catalase reaction. It is turning the H2O2 to H2O and O. It's got two molecules of oxygen. Right. H2O only has one. So we're liberating oxygen. We're basically hyper-oxygenating the tissues, and at the same time destroying some of the kinds of bacteria.
The gram negative.
Gram-negative. Yep.
Gram-negative bacteria. Okay. Cool. Okay. Well, It was great.
Yeah, it's fun.
Thank you. Yeah, no, that's interesting. I think there's going to be some questions that are going to come out of this. If you do have questions, please type those in the comments section. You can also go to the link on the Comella Foundation website, the Ask Dr. Beck link. If you are so inspired, please donate to the Comella Foundation as well. Join our mailing list, all that kind of good stuff. Yeah, but this is fantastic. I think this is going to help a lot of people that may be coming on that time of the year and some of the challenges that they may be experiencing when it comes to this time of the year.
Yep.
So, cool. Thank you, Charlie.
Absolutely, Bill. My pleasure.
Appreciate it very much. This was good stuff. We'll wrap this one up for today. I thank you for your time. Thank you for your knowledge and expertise. It's always greatly appreciated in what you share here on the weekly call.
Very good, man.
Okay, this is Bill Paravano, the knee pain guru. Going to sign off for today for the Ask Dr. Beck show. And on behalf of the Comella Foundation, have a wonderful day, and we will see you. Kathy. She shared. Thanks for the information. Awesome. Okay, thanks everybody. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
All right. Have a good week.